Within less than 60 seconds, a single Russian T-90M, the flagship of Moscow's forces costing $5 million, each is incinerated to ashes by a commercial Ukrainian drone worth just a few $1,000s. This is not an anomaly. Our reports indicate Moscow has lost over 100 of these advanced tanks since hostilities commenced, with dozens neutralized by cheap drones in 2026, converting active fronts into graveyards of shattered armor and broken doctrine. Video of the turret blowing off like a cork spreads across the net, going viral and exposing a brutal reality. Heavy armor is now failing against cheap asymmetric systems. These feeds from active sectors in Donetsk and Zaporizhia capture the chaos. Smoke rises, flames erupting, as a once mighty platform becomes a burning wreck, proving how raw force is outmaneuvered by speed and technical asymmetry. But from an officer's perspective, a critical question looms. Is this a setback on the battlefield or the end of modern tanks as we know them? This tactical shift reveals why the clash is forcing senior commanders globally to rewrite the doctrine of modern warfare, where mobility and intelligence defeat heavy armor. Keep analyzing with me to see how one strike will reshape future war permanently. Moscow initiated a massive offensive along the Donetsk line, deploying platoons of T-90M tanks to spearhead the push, while BMP carriers and Grad rocket launchers provided suppressive fire. This maneuver aimed to breaching enemy lines to reclaim critical terrain surrendered during the summer campaign. Our command staff assessed this tactical offensive as their opportunity to shatter the attritional stalemate that had dragged on too long. T-90M armor deployed at dawn under a massive barrage from Grad rocket systems, striking ahead to soften up defensive two positions and clear a tactical corridor forward. Dense smoke masked the impact zone, mingling with fog as the armored column advanced in tight tactical formation, their tracks churning up deep mud as they closed on the first defensive belt. These heavy battle tanks, touted by state media as nearly indestructible, rely on advanced reactive armor designed to detonate and deflect incoming threats, using Stora 1 active protection systems to disrupt guided missiles. Tank crews operated with high confidence, driving their machines forward with main guns sweeping to scan for targets, while BMP-3s followed closely, ready to deploy infantry. The doctrine relied on speed and overwhelming firepower. The vanguard maneuvered across scarred open terrain, bypassing artillery craters while advanced thermal. Optics targeted distant enemy bunkers through the haze. Artillery support continued pounding the sector, suppressing defenders and kicking up dirt, which forced hostile spotters to seek cover, delaying their counter-battery fires. As our lead armor crested the ridge, its main gun traversed smoothly to fire a high-explosive round that shattered a concrete barrier, opening the advance to them. BMP-3s secured the flanks, their superior mobility, enabling rapid movement as they laid down heavy suppressive fire. We had to suppress trench movement up front. Rear Grad launchers reloaded, unleashing a massive fire volley that painted the sky with rocket exhaust and shattered target coordinates on impact. Our combined arms maneuver built momentum rapidly. Armor punched deep into the hot zones, heavy engines roaring above the combat din. For a the moment a clean tactical breakthrough seemed highly likely against light defense. Command chose this battle sector, deliberately exploiting the local terrain for crucial mask against drone threats. But our true advantage was T-90M, upgraded optronics, specifically thermals, cutting clean through battlefield dust to paint concealed threats. A lead crew engaged a suspected missile nest, main gun firing, and sending severe shockwaves outward, shaking the surrounding tree line. Our BMP-3s advanced their dismounts scanning wide with handheld optics, denying any lateral ambush opportunities that could stall the column. Behind us, rocket batteries adjusted. Fires using real-time forward observer coordinates, interdiction zones to prevent any reinforcements from stabilizing their defensive line. Decisively, this push serves a vital campaign objective, securing the critical logistics arteries across the Donetsk sector. Controlling these vital supply corridors will choke opposing operational units and compel a rapid withdrawal from adjacent high ground. Our T-90M element split to clear wider frontage, with some sweeping the built-up areas while others anchored our main axis. Combined, fires produced massive destructive effects, resonating through the entire valley. As strike smoke cleared, we saw across scarred earth enemy armor pressed forward, their heavy silhouettes looming larger against the dawn as they neared our primary tactical defensive line. We executed a deliberate tactical withdrawal to our prepared trench network, actively avoiding direct engagement, letting their T-90M tanks commit deep into kill zones where our strikes hit hardest. This calculated pullback bought us time to regroup while the hostile armor exposed its flanks with every meter gained. Our troops braced inside dugouts, reinforced with logs and sandbags, their scopes scanning the horizon as enemy. Columns closed in amid the rumble of diesels and distant artillery. Observers relayed data via secure networks, maintaining absolute situational awareness, preventing our troops from wasting ammunition early. The withdrawal created a buffer that transformed the open field into a trap, stretching the enemy's spearhead farther from their support elements right into hidden threats. Our anti-tank crews fired Stugna missiles from concealed positions, but the rounds deflected off the explosive reactive armor on the T-90M hulls, detonating without damaging the enemy tanks. Our NLAW teams joined the action from elevated positions, sending guided projectiles screaming down on targets. Yet those two failed to defeat the defensive arrays that neutralized incoming warheads on impact. Our line watched as the tanks absorbed the shock and kept advancing their main turrets, rotating to return fire, heavily battering our empty fighting positions, throwing up dust. This skirmish successfully probed their capabilities without overcommitting our own assets, allowing our commanders to accurately assess their true limit of advance before weaknesses surfaced. We spotted the pattern immediately, ordering my men to hold fire until tactical opportunities emerged. Our observation posts kept a constant watch from high ground, linking up with recon drones hovering over the fray, and streaming live target data through our Link 16 network for seamless synchronization. These drones circled silently at safe altitudes, their optics tracking every shift of the enemy column as it navigated bad terrain and avoided obvious choke points. My ground teams watched terminal screens inside their bunkers, tracking the armor paths, finding soft target angles for coordinated strikes. This layout kept our defense integrated across the sector, transforming isolated fire teams into a unified front to ready to strike. Our drone feeds revealed BMP-3s lagging, exposed, if isolated, mapping out exactly where enemy rocket barrages missed critical sectors. I knew deeply that raw firepower would not halt all these tanks, but the enemy's rush forward would seal their fate by overextending their supply lines and cutting off quick reinforcement. This tactical awareness governed our response, prioritizing strict discipline over panic. As their armor pushed deeper into Einmuchtrap, my men waited in the trenches, gripping their weapons, firmly waiting for my signal to spring our trap. The strategy stretched tension along the line, knowing that drawing the enemy inward would turn the tide and crush their momentum completely. With each passing minute, our forward positions grew silent, concealing our primary assault forces ready to strike the second the trap springs. This tactical ambush demands strict discipline, forged from bitter lessons, ensuring our tactical withdrawal serves as bait, not defeat. An FPV squad sits in wait, under heavy canopy. Each unmanned platform is armed with a high-explosive payload and steered via live video feeds managed by concealed pilots nearby. This setup allows our teams to scan the engagement zone without exposing their signature, keeping these platforms completely dark until a target of opportunity appears. Operators adjust inputs on portable screens, fingers primed on the joysticks, hunting the Vanguard T-90M tank that overextended its line. The canopy offers excellent natural masking, with dense foliage disrupting enemy sensors. The squad coordinates the launch to exploit the tank's separation from supporting units, as the heavy armor rumbles closer to the first drone spools to life, with a quiet, high-pitched whine before lifting off, vectoring straight toward in the kill zone. The weapon system hugs the terrain to avoid detection, threading through scattered charred wreckage and ruins locking directly onto the T-90M's vulnerable rear engine compartment. On impact, the shape charge breaches the engine bay, igniting fuel lines. Billowing black plumes of smoke rise instantly, yet the heavy tank surges forward, erratically, its momentum still unbroken. Inside, the crew absorbs a massive shock. Primary combat systems flicker as diagnostics struggle to stabilize, but the platform's momentum guiding the asset onward through the haze. Forward spotters confirm the strike, instantly analyzing how the kinetic impact disrupted enemy momentum and sowed chaos across the convoy. This maneuver exploited a critical vulnerability in their rear armor, forcing the target to expose its weaker flanks while struggling to maintain momentum under heavy fire. Next, the secondary strike drone, ambushed from the tree line at speed diving toward the turret, housing the volatile autoloader mechanism itself, where rounds are kept ready. The munition penetrated the vulnerable zone with absolute precision, detonating directly inside the ammunition bay, triggering a catastrophic internal fire, engulfing the entire crew compartment. Panic overtook the crew as temperatures spiked, making escape impossible due to fused hatch mechanisms and complete system failure. Secondary detonations rapidly intensified, with high explosive rounds cooking off, tearing the heavy armor apart, and throwing debris. Tactical feeds captured the demolition in real time. We are witnessing this main battle tank tear apart as internal pressure breaches the hull. Under 30 seconds, the T-90M becomes a burning steel coffin, its advanced defensive systems useless. The frame is engulfed in flames, illuminating the battlefield and sending thick toxic smoke into the air. This swift engagement left zero room for recovery, as the active defense systems were completely overwhelmed by asymmetric attacks from above. Our forces immediately capitalized to exploit this tactical breakthrough. Morale spiked at the sight of that wreck, proving the tactical initiative had shifted. This rapid neutralization proved a rule: asymmetric tactics can defeat heavy, armor-converting an enemy, penetration into a disastrous defeat for their force. The tree line fell silent after the launches as our teams packed up rapidly, displacing before counter-battery fire arrived. The hostile T-90M crew never had time to survive that catastrophic firestorm while infantry columns lost their primary asset, causing their entire formation to fracture in complete chaos. Secondary explosions lit the field, exposing their movement and forcing hostile units to disperse. Under shrapnel raining down, the lead vehicle's catastrophic halt created a choke point for armored transports, slamming brakes, exposing vulnerable flanks to direct fire from our ambush sectors. Tactical panic spread through their lines as hostile commanders barked desperate orders over degraded networks, but losing their bank. Spearhead left their organic infantry completely exposed to fire. Thick smoke from the burning asset screened their disorganized retreating infantry column, converting their offensive into a panicked rout, leaving valuable material abandoned on the battlefield. Our units initiated a rapid counterattack, surging from our positions to reclaim lost ground, and secured the burning hull, a symbol of our victory. Assault elements advanced in waves under organic mortar support, pressing to attack, delivering direct fire on retreating elements. We secured key defensive positions within minutes, raising our colors on securing the sector, dragging away valuable kit from abandoned packs. Medics patch up minor wounds during the chaos, keeping our operational momentum high, coordinating quickly via silent hand signals to neutralize remaining threats. This tactical pivot turned the tide, letting Ukraine fortify its defensive lines and brace for any counterattacks from the hostile side. This action dealt a crushing psychological blow to Russian forces. Intercepts showing their frontline soldiers simply refused to mount those vulnerable vehicles in the days after. Panic spread rapidly through enemy camps as shaken crews detailed the horror of watching their armor vanish in fireballs, shattering trust in the heavy systems they depended on. Combat readiness collapsed across the sector, paralyzing their patrols and stalling key. Missions granting Ukraine much-needed tactical breathing room. Officers struggled to rally their troops, offering hollow reassurances that dissolved against the brutal memory of the explosion. That critical hesitation shattered their cohesion in the field. NATO military command staff labeled this engagement a major breaking point for Russian armor, proving how rigid mechanized doctrines fail against adaptive modern adversaries. We see glaring tactical flaws in relying on sheer mass. This clash underscores the necessity of superior coordination between air defense and infantry. Screens, high-level NATO strategic briefings now emphasize lessons for future training, demanding we overhaul doctrines that value raw mass over versatility. This reality spreads through channels shaping how Western forces evaluate modern conflict and prompting deep reviews of our own vulnerabilities. Such tactical failures, the cascading crisis shattered their lines. As Ukrainian commanders quickly seized the initiative, fortifying key high ground, and establishing vital tactical observation posts. Fresh echelons slipped in under nightfall, securing the defensive line, with critical combat logistics that maintained sustained pressure. Enemy efforts to reorganize stalled due to broken morale, leaving armor static. In rear echelons as crews hesitated, the tactical momentum shifted toward defensive postures for the aggressors, allowing Ukrainian forces to dictate the tempo, turning a single kill into systemic collapse. We must analyze the massive disruption to enemy supply routes, where stalled logistics, convoys, crippled supply distribution downstream. This fluid situation clearly proves frontline resilience fighting brittle enemy forces on the other, defining our understanding of high attrition warfare campaigns. Improvised drones costing $3,000 can annihilate battle tanks worth millions, creating a 1,000-to-1 cost imbalance that flips the tactical paradigm of modern warfare. This fiscal disparity proves cheap. Technology now dominates heavy legacy armor on the front lines. Frontline operators assemble these craft in improvised workshops, fitting cheap cameras and munitions to strike weak armor points. During intense combat, these tactical systems steer in fast reducing expensive tactical assets to complete scrap without massive capital. Our assessments show Ukrainian teams honing this lethal decentralized battle doctrine, assembling low-cost swarms to strike, turning each mission into a calculated assault against overwhelming odds. We face a new era where massive budgets yield to tactical minds. This asymmetry lets light units punch far above weight-challenging, massive armor formations head-on. The critical flaw in Russian armor stems from their autoloader design, which stacks active ammunition directly beneath the crew, converting the entire chassis into a ticking bomb always primed to detonate. This doctrine packs high explosive shells into a carousel directly below the turret, meaning any penetrating strike triggers catastrophic chain reactions that vaporize the interior. Fire propagates instantly from the magazine melting vital electronics and trapping the crew inside a furnace with no escape. Our operators spot this vulnerability early, vectoring precision strikes to detonate the payload, forcing the entire platform to self-destruct. Tankers feel the thermal surge as onboard systems fail completely, but the cramped capsule denies them any room to egress before total detonation. This systemic vulnerability stems from Soviet-era doctrine, which prioritized low profiles over survivability, leaving upgraded variants exposed to basic anti-armor assets. By contrast, Leopard 2 and Abrams platforms isolate ammunition, safeguarded by heavy blast shields, giving the crew a fighting chance even after critical impacts. Western engineering isolates payloads inside rear turrets behind sliding panels, redirecting explosive energy outward, which safeguards the crew compartment. They take heavy damage but allow operators to evacuate and stay in the fight, keeping our units combat effective. Heavy composite armor shields critical components, absorbing kinetic energy that would obliterate older designs. This protection instills confidence during offensive maneuvers. Our tankers operate knowing their platform will protect them, enabling aggressive maneuvers without the constant threat of catastrophic failure. This emphasis on survivability reflects historical lessons on human capital, turning each tank into a hardened node that withstands incoming fire and maintains tactical momentum. Moscow pays a steep price for cheap, fast, mass doctrines in an age where data streams and loitering munitions dictate terms on the ground. Their outdated doctrine churns out light, armored platforms for rapid mass maneuvers, but they disintegrate under the relentless glare of airborne sensors exploiting their structural flaws. Modern battle spaces pulse with intelligence from aerial scouts directing precision strikes that outpace mechanized movement and overwhelm numbers. Russia's reliance on sheer volume leaves critical vulnerabilities in their rushed, unshielded systems that invite swift, devastating strikes from above. Ukraine counters by fusing advanced tech with field ingenuity, weaponizing real-time data to destroy the adversary's advantages. This conflict exposes a strategic tipping point where endless industrial output meets highly adaptive intelligence, and the force with information superiority dominates the fight. Military analysts recognize this as a critical shift, forcing transitions toward hybrid forces, integrating heavy legacy armor with digital capabilities to survive, eliminating a T-90M did not just incinerate heavy armor. It totally shattered the doctrinal faith in traditional mechanized warfare. A $2,000 drone destroying a $5 million tank defines this new tactical of reality where asymmetric intellect defeats bulk and dynamic speed outmaneuvers armor. Classic paradigms of military power mass and kinetic force now give way to stealth, precision, and code. Weaponizing low-cost FPV drones has fundamentally rewritten our engagement rules. Battles are no longer won by absolute armored mass, but by decision cycles, specifically how fast forces can identify, process, and neutralize threats. The theater proves that in an operational environment ruled by electronic sensors data is more lethal than heavy artillery. Yet this shift demands a critical question. If cheap drone swarms decimate an OW, armored column today, what happens tomorrow? When autonomous systems learn to fight without humans, at the helm, will tomorrow's battle space belong to machines that designate their own targets or to commanders who learn to harness them? First, let's analyze this together. Has the age of armor truly ended, or is it waiting to evolve under a new doctrine for tactical maps, sharp analysis, and